Alright, the next thing we want to take a look at is using object snap tracking as well as polar tracking in order to create a simple elevation. Alright, so here is my plan drawing. More specifically, it's a roof plan. You can see that the yellow lines indicate the roof edges. The solid magenta lines represent the edge, or sorry, the top of the roof or the peaks of the roof. And you'll also notice that the magenta dotted line here represents the walls underneath the roof, the walls of the building underneath. Okay, so we're going to create this floor plan right here. This elevation here. So let's make sure we're on 0 layer. I'm going to draw everything on the 0 layer for now. I'm going to use my line command to first start. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just draw. I'll put my ortho on, and I'll just draw a straight line right across. Alright, press escape when we're done. Okay, now before we go ahead and use this object snap and polar tracking, let's make sure that it's set correctly. Let's go to our object snap, do a right click, click settings, and let's go ahead and make sure that endpoint, intersection, and perpendicular are all three of them on. Alright, let's also make sure that our object snap and object snap tracking is on. And lastly, let's go ahead and set our polar tracking. The incremental angles, let's set it at 45. And let's make sure that our object snap tracking also uses the polar angle settings that we just set up. Now the reason why I put it at 45 is you can see the note I placed here. The roof has a 12-12 slope, which means that it is at a 45-degree angle. Alright, so let's go ahead and create this once we have all that set. Alright, the first thing I'm going to simply do is I'm going to offset this to create, you can see in this drawing right here. Okay, maybe I'll zoom up to this drawing just a little bit. Alright, you'll see here that I've drawn two lines here to represent the front face of the soffit, or sorry, the fascia board of this roof. Okay, so I will simply want you to go ahead and offset, okay, this line by 10 feet. Okay, that'll represent the bottom of the roof, okay, or the top of the wall. Alright, press escape to exit the command, and simply I want you to offset one more time by, let's say, 1 foot, and that will represent the thickness of the fascia board, which is the bottom right here of the roof. Alright, now, normally what you would do, if you remember manual drafting, okay, you would simply take this, let's say I want to concentrate on the walls. Let's start by the bottom dashed line here are walls. Okay, now normally, if you didn't use object snap, this is what you would do. Or object snap tracking, this is what you do. Start a line here, drag it down, perhaps, place it there, press escape, then use my trim command, and simply trim this line off. Okay, a lot of work to do just to draw this one little line. Okay, let me show you the easy way. Okay, use your object snap tracking, make sure that's on. Alright, and we're simply going to L for line, track from this point, drag it down, find the intersection right here, that's where the line is going to start, and drag it down perpendicular to the bottom line. Done. Okay, do the same thing. Line command, track from here, bring it down, okay, bring it to the second line right here. That's the intersection. That's why it's important to have your object snap intersection. Click on there and drag it down. Okay, press escape. Last time, let's go to the line command, this corner right here. Let's drag it down till we meet this right there and bring it down, and we're done. Okay, you can see that I've drawn 3 lines. Okay, I didn't have to draw a large line and then trim it off later. Okay, so let's go ahead and worry about the edges, or the edge of the roof here, a fascia board. Okay, so line, track from here, drag it down till I hit this, and drag it down until I hit the second line. Done. Okay, and go ahead and do the next ones. Okay, one here. Okay, done. And lastly, one more time. Track from here, there, bring it down, and done. Okay, now I'm going to use the trim command here and simply use these little lines here to just trim off the excess. We don't need these side lines anymore. Alright, so there we go. Very simple. No redundancy there. Didn't have to draw a line then trim it up. Okay, just using my object snap tracking. Okay, now let's say I want to draw this line right here is the next line I want to draw. Alright, now I know where that line starts. Starts right there. But how do I know where it's going to end? Well, I know the angle of that line because I stated in the notes that this is a 12-12 slope roof, so I know this is going to be at a 45-degree angle. I know that. So I can use my polar tracking there. Okay, so I'm going to start a line. I know my line's going to start here, so I'll pick there. And now you can see I'm using my object snap tracking. Oh, make sure that your polar tracking is now on because we're going to use our 45-degree polar tracking. So make sure that's on. And you can now see that I can draw this line. Now, where is this line going to end? Where do I know where this line ends? Well, if I look at this drawing, this point right here, this peak of the roof, if I drag that downwards, that's how I know where that's going to end. So this is what we want to do. I could find this angle using polar, but how do I know where it's going to meet? Well, let's use our object snap tracking. Okay, so here's my tracking, my object snap tracking line, and exactly where that object snap tracking line meets my polar tracking line, watch, right there. You see that? You can see there's my polar tracking line, there's my object snap tracking line. Where those two lines meet, that's where we draw this point. Right there. Perfect. Now I know this is going to be a horizontal line. Where is it going to end? Well, simple. I'm going to track from that point, track it down. Where it meets my 0 angle, right there, is where I'm going to pick. Perfect. Okay, now the last one is going to end right there. Alright, I'll press escape to finish, and I'll start another line starting from here. Now again, where does this end? Well, I'm going to track this point down. I'm going to track wherever my 0 polar tracking meets my object snap tracking. There you go. And lastly, it's going to end right there. Okay, so you can see how quick that was. Alright, with the aid of object snap tracking and polar tracking, I did not have to draw lines and then trim them later on.